call the November 10th special call city council meeting to order. You would stand and join me in invocation and pledge. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you today. Thank you for waking us up. Thank you for allowing us to serve the city of Jackson. Be with us as we make decisions to best serve our citizens, and be with us during these uncertain times, knowing that these uncertain times have already been planned out by you. Bless you for everything that you've given us. In your Son, Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Yes. Item 3 is roll call, and Sandy, you'll see that all council members will soon be present, except Councilman Buchanan. Item 4 is first readings. And so, council, you all know we usually have to do the first readings before we get to the reason for the first reading. So first reading is a consideration of a proposed budget amendment for $525,000 for settlement related to Cox v. City of Jackson. And Bobby is still on quarantine until Thursday, so you'll see the sheet on your page here. This is related to the settlement agreement. This had to be passed on 2 readings, and the proposed coming from fund balance to pay for the amount. Is there any questions on the budget amendment?
Move the approval.
All right, have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. This is an item on first readings. Anyone wish? Councilman Dodd, second. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of or opposition to the item on first reading, raise your hand. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 7-1.
All right, item 5 is new business, the consideration of acceptance of the settlement terms in Cox v. City of Jackson. I'll call on Louis Cobb and John Burleson to come up and present us with the information on that.
We were sued because of some things that occurred during the arrest and detention. The nature of the lawsuit was a class action. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that process. If I need to go through it, I will. The city had some insurance coverage. John Burleson and the folks at Rainey Kaiser defended that. We initially won it at trial. It was appealed and reversed and sent back down. There are some details there that I can go into if you need to. We've mediated it twice with a mediator who has expertise in class action mediations. And after looking at the various options, Mr. Burleson, also Dale Condor worked on this case, and I, along with Mayor Conker and Alex Reed, who are at mediation, recommend an agreement. It's not one that I'm happy about, but I think it's our best way out to close out our liability on this. The process is we've agreed to this based on your approval and then based on the approval of the federal judge. Obviously, Mr. Burleson nor I can bind you. You've got to vote to agree to it. Then, because it's a class action, it's got to be approved by the judge. Mr. Burleson has done most of the heavy lifting on this, and he's here to help me answer your questions. And by that, I mean he's here to answer your questions. And but if you have some, there are some parts of this that are, because it's not a final settlement, it could still be some problems. One thing that is important about this is the insurance policy that we have was recently acquired. It's a $1 million eroding policy, or they said that term sounds kind of negative, but what it is every dollar that's spent on defense counsel reduces the dollars that are left for coverage. And so if we continue to fight this, and it's a massive amount of information, Ms. Jordan went and did research on 86 cases. There are 4,500 arrests a year. We're talking about multiple years. There could be hours and hours just going through and reconstructing all the records, analyzing the records. Then you get into class action where you have multiple hearings, appeals. And so the insurance coverage that we have could wind up going, and I don't begrudge them, but, but on this side of the ledger. And so that's one of the main issues about why seeking a settlement makes sense. Term sheet has been given to every one of you. If you have questions, let me know.
And Lewis, if you help me, or John, help me remember, the number of potential cases, what was it, around 17,000 we were looking at?
We, in the 3-year period, we estimate for 2018, there were 4,500 city warrants. That didn't include the DUIs. And so for 3 years, you know, it's certainly going to be in excess 12 to 15,000 at a minimum. That doesn't mean they all have claims. I'm just talking about warrants in city court. And then out of that, there's a certain percentage that would fall within the class that would qualify.
Yeah, I was just trying to give them a time of looking at the research time of what it would take to do that.
Oh, it's hours and hours and hours.
I have a question, if I may. Good morning. In the term sheets, the statement is regarding potential improper procedures. Can you describe exactly what those were?
I can. That's a very good question. The procedure, the problem that arose came to light in the prosecution of a criminal case. And it was discovered in that particular case that the city court clerk had not placed the police officer who swore out the warrant or a representative from the Jackson Police Department under oath to establish probable cause. And the Supreme Court has told us to protect any citizen's right. We don't want police to be able to hold people long periods of time for no reason. So within 48 hours, there has to be a probable cause determination
Sure.
before a magistrate, it's called a magistrate, or a certified official, which under Tennessee state law can be a city court clerk or deputy court clerk.
Right.
And it came to light that there was a period of time, which we're not sure how long, that process was not followed, at least not in every instance.
And we believe that took place for at least 3 years
Yes, yes.
or more?
Actually, we think more,
Okay.
yes.
And I guess this is a question for the mayor. Has that problem been resolved?
That'd be a question for the city court clerk.
Okay.
I can tell you that I have reached out to MTS about, they have a program that's a municipal court clerk program, training program, that, I just got an email before I came down here with the person who administers that program to kind of set up and talk about opportunities to come down and train. So, that would be a question for Mr. Hubbard on the remedy.
So as we sit here today, approving or disapproving this settlement, we don't know if we've corrected the problem yet.
I do not know. Like I said, it'd be a question for city court clerk.
Okay.
Sound like giving people's money away.
Could Mr. Hubbard come up and answer that?
Well, if we have any questions specific of the settlement agreement for Mr. Burleson or Mr. Cobb first, before I don't want to bring people back and forth.
Sure.
So we have any questions for them first?
And I might add, just to add to what Lewis said, I strongly recommend this to you for multiple reasons. Part of it, Lewis has already expressed in that sometimes in litigation like this, the tail wags the dog. And what I mean by that is the attorney's fees, both on the plaintiff's side and the defense side. And if this, I don't mind litigating this case. My law firm doesn't mind litigating this case. I just help try defending the county and the sheriff and county lawsuit. We litigate cases all the time. And if I thought that was the best thing for the city, I'd recommend it to you. But looking at all the factors, the attorney's fees, the fact that we can put a cap on things here, we don't really honestly have a full grasp of what the exposure is, because there's a lot of deep diving, a lot of work that has to go in to do that. But we think we've limited the exposure in a fair way that I think it protects the city, protects the taxpayers. It helps the city take advantage or leverage the insurance coverage that's out there. And so that's why I'm recommending it to you.
I have another question, if I may. Lewis, in your chronology of the case, I believe you said that the city won at trial. Is that correct?
Well,
Summary judgment.
let me back up. There's a motion to dismiss.
Okay.
And I'll sometimes I go on too long, so if I
No.
start talking too much, stop me. We tried to defend this case aggressively at the beginning. And there were 5 or 6 named plaintiffs at the beginning. And for example, we got 2 of them dismissed quickly because they were held less than 48 hours. They were gone. They didn't have a qualified claim. We argued that the statute of limitations applied to some others, that they didn't file within the 1-year period. And we won at the trial level on that. And then we raised another legal argument that Judge Breen, who's handling it here at the district court level, he didn't feel like he needed to address because he'd already eliminated the case or ruled in our favor. But when the plaintiffs appealed to Cincinnati, to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, the court there held that the 1-year statute of limitation is not the only thing. It's when the parties became aware that they had a claim.
Sure, I understand.
And they said the fact that our argument was they became aware when they were held over 48 hours without having a hearing. And the court said that may or may not be, but if they looked on the face of the warrant, it would appear they had a hearing, and, there was no way for that to be determined for sure. So we're concerned about the statute of limitations. The language from the Sixth Circuit appellate opinion reads, could open the city up to, they could go back years and years and years. So that's part of the negotiation here to come up with a 3-year cap. We also raised an argument under a Supreme Court case, it's entitled Heck, H-E-C-K, that we thought was the winner in the case for us. And the Sixth Circuit, just to put it politely, slapped that down real quickly. And so that took some legs out from us on that as well.
So the statute of limitations was the only issue on appeal?
No, it really wasn't. The Sixth Circuit ruled on the Heck case as well and said that we had raised it at the trial level, and Judge Breen said he didn't need to address that issue. But the Sixth Circuit did address it on appeal and said we were wrong.
Okay. Is there a way we can get copies of any of the cases, just to us?
The appellate opinion?
Yes, the
Yes, sir, I
appellate
can, I've got it right here, and I
Okay.
can certainly make that
If you can get
available.
that to Sandy, I believe she could make copies for
Okay.
anybody who wants it.
I'll be glad
Uh-huh.
to do that.
Thank you, John.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Burleson and Mr. Cobb? All right, we also have Chief Weiser and City Court Clerk Darrell Hubbard here as well to answer questions, if you all have questions for them.
I have a question for Mr. Hubbard, if he would come.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I guess my question would be, could you give us your chronology of how did we get here?
Okay. First off, I want to say, I was elected to this job in 1998. I had 5 deputy clerks. This is 2020. I still have 5 deputy clerks. We've got forfeiture court, expungements, AOC counts, RMS, ECO, all these things that weren't there in 1998. I'm just reading them off. Video arraignments, drug court, mental health court, TBI cards, DA wants special file. We do search warrants, forfeitures, drive-through, bond forfeitures, theft court, NCIC, domestic violence court. We do, when I started, if somebody got arrested on 5 cases, it was on 1 warrant. Now it's 5 different cases. So when I started, nobody knew to swear the officer in from the weekend. Most cities, most municipalities have a magistrate so that when the officer arrests somebody, he takes them directly to the judge or the clerk and they swear to it. We never knew. This district attorney that started this case, Mr. Pickens, he worked in our court for 4 or 5 years, and he knew we didn't swear the warrants. But once he got elected, he decided to make this a vendetta. He sent every attorney in Jackson a letter saying you can sue city court. This is the same guy that arrested a girl in my office for just working too hard. We were severely short-staffed, and I think after this she may sue because it wasn't her fault. It was the fact that we were short-staffed and she was doing too much. We've got a lot going on, and this is chess, guys, and the city is playing checkers. I cannot get anybody to give me any help. I cannot, when I get somebody that's trained, I can't compete with the rest of the people out here, and they leave. I've got employees. How long you been working here, ma'am? How many vacations have you had? Hasn't been able to go on even vacation. Can't take a day off because everybody knows that if anybody leaves, we got 1,000 different things to do. So my employees can't even take vacations. we can't even get training because I don't have time to train it. I've been to the Miss MTAS trainings. They never talked about that. They talk about other things. Nobody ever said, hey, are you guys swearing in warrants? It's like the court system, nobody really knows what's going on. Every court does something different. Every court has a different way to do things. Excuse me. Every court does. So when I go to the trainings, it's like, they tell you, well, this court does it this way, this court does it this way, nobody's right, nobody's wrong. So, we have been doing this not for 3 years, since 1998, and probably before that. Nobody ever knew that you swore in the officers. It's just something that nobody ever did. We
So
were
you're of
never
the
told.
opinion that it goes back further than 3 years?
3 years, try 30 years, try 40 years. This is something that it just never happened. You asking now, have we rectified it? Yes.
And what steps have you taken to rectify the
We
problem?
swear in everything now. I mean, we swear the officer in it every morning. I'm not sure if that's gonna be, if that's the right way to do it, because if somebody else comes up with a case, say, well, the officer that wrote the warrant never swore to it, that's out of my hands. I don't know how that's gonna be handled. I hope it never happens, but it's a possibility somebody could say, Mr. Odin, he didn't see it, but he swore, how did he swear to it? So we still have, the problem that we're being sued for is technically rectified, but I don't know from going forward, if what we're doing is still gonna be enough. Now, you can ask one of the attorneys, and they may be able to say that that's a good thing, or what we're doing is right. I don't know. However, we have a lot going on in city court. Some of you guys probably never been over there. We got a new building. My people work like Trojans, man. We're trying our best to keep ahead of the game, but I can't get anybody to stay. I can't compete. That lady back there is the best employee I ever had, and when I'll probably lose her, and when I lose her, I don't know what's gonna happen. This district attorney is already illegally he's already arrested one of my employees for a clerical error. The city laid her off without pay. It's just a lot going, and this all starts with this guy, man. He's got some kind of vendetta, and he's gonna end up costing the city more money, because I think she has a lawsuit, because she didn't do anything criminal. She was working. We had 3 people at the time working when this incident happened, and she got arrested for it. And she was trying to do too many things at one time. And she gets arrested, man, and loses her job and loses her income because this guy is doing stuff that doesn't make any sense to me.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
And this is back to my original question. Wasn't your office investigated for this?
Yes.
And where did that investigation?
The investigation, okay, what happened was when she did this piece of paper, the guy who she doesn't know took it to circuit court. The circuit court clerk saw it. She decided she was gonna be a Karen and called in the comptrollers. The comptrollers came in, they found no money missing. They found, what they said was that, and this is the crazy thing, that we were doing warrants that we lack jurisdiction on, which is impossible. If it's a circuit court warrant, there's nothing we could do with it. So by him even saying that we were doing warrants that we didn't have jurisdiction on is insane. It's not possible.
And you're referencing the comptroller's
Yes.
report.
Yes,
What date was that
This
issued?
was-
Do you remember?
this was in 2018.
A 2018 comptroller's
2018,
report?
yes.
Okay.
And when he did his report, it was released this year,
Right.
when she was arrested in, May, early May.
And you say the report found no criminal responsibility?
There's nothing, we haven't done, I've been there 22 years, we haven't lost a penny of the city's money. We've been above board, we've been honest, we've been working hard, and for something like this to happen is insane. And then,
I
the
don't have a-
same guy, he's the one that's got the lawsuit
I
on us.
understand. I don't have the report in front of me, but
Yes.
it did make several findings,
That-
that.
They were saying we were helping people get their license, which, if that's a crime, I guess I'm guilty. They were also said we didn't have enough money boxes, which is the building design, it wasn't our fault. I had 5 employees and 4 boxes, so, 4 cash drawers, so they said that was a problem. They also said that we had people in the office who, when we were taking money, and this lady got rolled up because an employee of mine came to me Thursday and said, I'm leaving Friday. I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going back to my old job with the city. And I said, how is that possible? So that he was doing our Tuesday traffic court. That next Tuesday, JPD comes over, and we had asked them not to bring warrants because of what the comptroller said. They came in with warrants, and they said, can y'all sign this warrant? And I looked at him, I'm sitting at this guy's desk, I said, no. I'm pissed because the city had no business doing that. So I'm pissed. I tell him, no, we're not gonna do it right now. He leaves, goes over, Tyrese Miller calls me and said, we had a shooting. I said, he never said we had a shooting, because she told him no also. And they wrote her up, put in her file. She tried to contact you and Lynn to talk about it. This is the kind of stuff we go through, and it's really not fair. It's not fair to them, it's not fair to me, and it's just, it's insane that we're playing checkers, and this is chess, guys.
This is my last question.
sir.
And this is more so focused on, you know,
Yes.
Councilman,
why we're here.
I would like to, since he brought up JPD, that specific warrant that he's talking about was in regards to a shooting where we were trying to immediately arrest the suspect. And we had investigators go to city court to get an affidavit signed, and they turned us away.
That was for a search
Not
warrant?
once, twice, no. We
No,
had had a
just turned you
shooting.
away. We just said one. We said we didn't know what the warrant was. We said we're not gonna do it because if he had said it's a shooting, we would have dropped everything. We're not dumb. But we had officers coming over doing traffic court, and we asked them politely, please don't bring warrants over doing traffic court. So when they came in traffic court, number one, I was pissed about the employee being taken from me. It wasn't you guys. I was pissed about that because you don't tell me Thursday that you leaving Friday to go work for the city. The city took an employee without saying, hey, we'll take him, but we're gonna replace him. And you weren't the mayor then, but it was not, and I'll be honest, I was really pissed. And when they came over with that warrant, I had no clue what it was. And I said, not gonna do it, guys. And they looked at her and she said no, so they wrote her up. But it was all my fault, but I didn't know it was a shooting. Had the officer came in and said, hey, we got a shooting, Darryl, let's get this done, we would have dropped everything. We understand what's serious. They never said, when Tyrese called me and said, hey, it's been a shooting, I said, well, send him back over here, and we did it right then. I wasn't mad at your officers. I was mad at the whole situation, Chief. And you guys, since 1998, I don't know how many officers have you got, how big your department has grown, but since 1998, my department has not grown a bit. But the workload has increased exponentially. And it's something that has to be addressed, guys. If you're gonna run a city court, you have got to do it in a professional manner where you have people that work, that are not under a ton of stress. I mean, this lady got wrote up about that, Chief, and it wasn't her fault, it was my fault. Because I told
Well,
her,
and
we're not gonna do it.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I could get up here and I could tell the city council that we're currently 25 officers short and I can't do my job.
And I feel sorry for you.
Well, let me finish. You brought JPD into this, so I'm gonna address it. Yeah, we're 25 short, but we've got an obligation to the citizens of this community to make sure that they're provided service. Same way with city court. But the victims out there expected us to get a warrant signed and get this criminal offender off the street. And that's just one of many issues that we deal with in city court. I think if anything comes out of this, and I don't know that this is a proper setting for me and you to go back and forth and to address some of the issues that we're dealing with in city court, but at a minimum, I think this council needs to look at forming a committee, an oversight committee for city court. Because
And the police department too, because you guys are running around doing stuff you ain't got no
Okay,
business doing.
That's enough.
So if
We're
he
not-
wants
we're
to- he wants
no,
to go
that's
there.
enough.
Okay.
We're not having back and
I
forth.
don't wanna go there, but if he
We're
wants to go
having,
there,
we're
I'll
having a
go there.
settlement, we're having a settlement agreement.
Yes.
This is what it's about.
Mayor, can I talk about some of the issues that we deal with? I mean, during the COVID, the court mandate guidelines were that all courts stayed open. You may not have had an in-person hearing. I think city court, y'all shut down.
No, we did not.
Or you had the doors locked, people couldn't get in.
Nope.
Louis,
We've got a settlement negotiation that's important. These issues are important, but mixing it all together.
yeah, we need to focus back on the settlement
lack of
agreement.
focus, and I think, I'd like, if I could, get my issue, and Mr. Burris and I get over to federal court and get this approved, without having the emotions that I feel real strongly, and the importance was strong. We've got a
You're right, Lou. I think this is a conversation to be had, but not at this moment.
And I still have another question.
Yes, sir.
As far as the warrants, this is how serious we are about it. When I found out about this, the warrants division, who swears to the majority of warrants, I instructed Sergeant Odin that if we had another warrant that was not sworn to, that termination would be on the table. That's just how serious this is. We're talking about $1 million lawsuit that we're having to deal with.
You're saying on your side of the fence?
On our side, if a clerk neglects or refuses to swear to it, no, we're gonna make it happen. That's just where we're at on it. Because city court is the gatekeeper of the warrants. I don't supervise, city court. I don't supervise the clerk, the judge. He's the gatekeeper of the warrants. It's his responsibility.
You have a
Mayor,
question,
my last question, and Mr. Hubbard, you heard the mayor say, my initial question was, some time ago, have these problems been rectified?
Yes, sir.
The mayor's answer was, there's an MTAS training that will rectify that.
No.
That's what I thought, I heard him say.
That says from our side, you know, constitutionally, I have no authority over city court to say this is what you're doing. So I reached out on my own to say, here's an opportunity, talk with them to see what can be done. We're gonna talk about whatever the issues have had pertaining to this case and see if there's some specified training for that.
We have rectified it. We understand what the situation is. We understand where the mistake was made, and that'll never happen again. I'm just like the chief. We're very, very serious about this. It'll never happen again. Hate it happened in the beginning, and I hate to bother you guys with this. I'm just up here saying, guys, it's a lot going on. That's all.
Well, obviously, there's a million reasons to get it right.
Yes.
And my last statement is that obviously, we need to bring city court and JPD back at another time, at
Yes.
another place, to air and work together
Yes.
to make sure that this never happens again, and to create a plan or procedures
communication is
to
the
move
key.
forward.
Communication. If we just communicate and not just gloss over stuff. I have an open door policy. Any of you guys can come and see me. I don't have a problem. Communication is the key. We have rectified it, and JPD is serious about it also. This is not gonna happen again. I'm just saying, this case, it's not gonna happen again.
Councilman Dodd?
Quick question, Mr. Hubbard.
Yes, sir.
As far as staff-wise, what would it take to get more staff?
Man, I'll be
if
honest with you.
needed.
If I had two extra people, it might help. 3 would probably make it better. But the thing is, you gotta compete with other agencies to keep good people. When you find good people, you wanna keep them. You don't wanna just have all that information and knowledge just go out the door. I had a lady resign because she took a pay cut because it was so hard. And when you find somebody that's good, I'm telling you, I'm not gonna be here long, as you guys probably can see that now. But when I leave, I will hope that this city would invest in good people for city court.
Mayor? I mean, I know we here for other reasons, but I think we have to show that we're in this together. I mean, you know, it's sad that, you know, city court, police department, and all are like we working against each other, and we're here for one reason, that's making our city safe and working together to make sure things are happening. And I don't know if this committee he talked about, but we need something to happen where we're showing we're together, because us working against each other, that doesn't look good for us as a city. And we have city court on one side, the police department. We all here to, you know, make our city a better place. And, you know, I don't know what it's gonna take for them to sit down, to come together, but it don't look good for our city for us to be going against each other. I mean, we know there's some problems, and everybody have accountability, but we need to put something in place where we could come to a point where we can fix this problem, you know, and everybody work together. I just want us all working together as a community, especially as, you know, city court and the police department, it's hand in hand. It has to work together. And we can't be working against each other. So I think we need to put our differences together and sit down and come up with some solutions to how can we fix this issue. I mean, I know it's a totally different thing, but this has to be fixed. This is sad that we hear, you know, when you got 2 departments for the cities fighting against each other. And I know they elected this position, and, you know, Chief doing a good job, Mr. Hubbard doing a good job. We got problems, But how do we fix it? And I think, I don't know if you could put something together, but we have to fix this. This doesn't look good. Yeah, we're
We'll
fighting
work
each
on
other
that
like
after we,
this.
after we rectify this
Mr.
issue.
Chairman, I have a question. May I go back to the settlement?
Please.
So, all right. I just want clarification
Yeah, we got a
that
problem.
the $1 million does
563,000
cover the plaintiffs, and
Somebody made a mistake.
I just want to make sure how long
$500
to,
something thousand.
Dave. Go
I
ahead,
want to
Councilman
know
Wallace.
if this is open-ended. I understand about the class settlement, but I just want to make sure how long, or other people, are they able to come into this timeframe to?
Good question. There's an administrative process that has to be followed in a class action. Assuming the council approves this, we go to the court, Judge Breen, and he'll do a preliminary approval, and then it goes to the administrator. Notice is given. There's a 90-day period for people to elect to try to process in the claim. Some could opt out. They could opt out. I would think that'd be highly unlikely
Right.
in a case like this, but I think that's what you're asking. And it
Yes.
is a possibility, yes.
And in addition to, in that 90 days, are there others that can come on if they meet these qualifications?
Yes. Well, anybody in that 3-year period, during that 90-day period, will have an opportunity to file a claim and to determine if they're certified or not to be in the class.
Within this, I'm trying to figure out if we go ahead and decide yes on this today,
Okay.
are there others that can tack on to this? Or Are we
Yes.
only at $1 million and that's it?
We're at $1 million and that's it.
No more if anyone else comes on?
Right.
Okay, thank you
Right.
so much for that
Sorry, I
clarification.
didn't understand that. That $1 million is the cap.
Right.
Right, and you answered the other part, it was all part of it,
Okay.
thank you.
In reference to the wasting policy through PE Partners, is that policy for the what years does that policy span?
That policy is a claims-made policy that became effective September 1, 2017. And that was a new type of coverage that PE Partners instituted for class action lawsuits. And this isn't an honor that you want, but we get a ribbon for we're the first claim they've had under that new policy they issued.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you know, that's not the blue ribbon we want. But, and they told me yesterday they do have another claim, but it covers from September 1st, 2017 forward.
Forward, okay,
Yes.
all right.
Thank you.
A quick question. Do we have any concern that beyond the January 18th, 2019 date, have there been other events that we may be concerned with?
No, we don't think there's any concern on that. And even if there was, the statute of limitations has run on that.
Right.
Because now it's clearly out in public view after that, and it's a 1-year statute of limitations, so that's run.
If one happened yesterday, they would have a year to file a claim.
Yes.
But we've met with the chief, we've met with the clerk, with each other, and it's our understanding that it is a zero defect system where everyone is followed. It's, we think that door's been closed
Okay, thank you.
by changes in procedures.
Mr. Cobb, as Mr. Hubbard stated, is he doing everything correctly now that he should be doing to make sure it don't happen again?
I think he is, and I think the chief is making sure, with each side of the system is doing and has, as the chief described, you do it, if I find out you're not doing it, you're gonna be doing something else.
Right.
I think that's what both sides are.
So we do have something in place, so.
Yeah, and the Attorney General is more involved. There's, there's a local assistant district attorney in court. I think all three are looking at it to ensure that we're doing it the correct way.
Well, the point I'd make is, the money is obviously painful, but I think greater than that is the fact that Jacksonians' rights have potentially been violated with some of these instances of mishandling. So just for the sake of treating people with respect and dignity throughout the process, we need to make sure we're on the up and up.
Any additional questions?
Call for the question.
Call for questions. All right. We have a motion for the acceptance of the settlement terms.
Second.
That's it, do we have a motion? I'm sorry.
Motion.
Yeah.
So, moved. I'm sorry.
We have a motion by Dodd, second by Brooks. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed, 7-1.
All right, being no further business, meeting's adjourned.
Oh, I need to, yeah, thank you.